just got a massive upgrade while the US got a downgrade. Now, in this video, I'm going to go over why the recent events in the US and the economy and the recent downgrade is actually very bullish for Bitcoin, most importantly. But there was some big stuff dropped on the timeline today that I think if we can get in front of, we can really front run some gains here on some of our favorite altcoins, a collaboration that I really wasn't expecting, but you still have time to be able to get involved and probably reap some rewards from this announcement. As well, I'm going to go over, I believe it's about 6 coins that I think are dirt cheap at this point in time. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. And first and foremost, as always, guys, drop down, hit that like button, and subscribe to the channel for more every single day and every week right here on In the Game. We have you covered from all the alpha, from gaming, AI, RWA, meme coins, and more. And of course, drop down below and check out our sponsors down below in the description. We have some incredible sponsors from Cradle Games, 𝗲𝗏𝘅𝗍𝗍, as well as our premier exchange partners, Blowfin. You can trade all of the latest launches, centralized exchange, no KYC. I saw a comment last week that they can't use Blowfin in the US, which couldn't be further from the truth. Blowfin is accessible in the US. I use it every single day with no VPN, no exterior things needed, and no KYC. So if you're in the US and you're looking for a leverage exchange, check out Blowfin down below in the description, and you can also get a sign-up bonus using our link down below. Now let's go ahead and jump into it. It has been a dicey 24 hours for Bitcoin. I mean, we got as low as the high 101s. We got as high as 107 yesterday on a Sunday afternoon pump. And then we saw a huge dip on the US downgrade, which to me, whenever they show a downgrade in the economy or in the credit system, whatever the case is, whenever the US historically has had a quote unquote downgrade, this has been very good for alternate asset classes. Now, typically the stocks, like the stock market, does take a little bit of a hit, but alternate assets like Bitcoin, this just validifies the use case and what people are really buying Bitcoin for, right? To escape from the system, to not be trapped in these current times in the economy, etc. So for me, this is very bullish for Bitcoin, and we're actually seeing this. I mean, it's up on the week, and we've been battling this 105 level as far as resistance and really trying to hold this level. So it's pretty impressive actually to see that Bitcoin is holding this level quite nicely. So very bullish for Bitcoin. If you ask me, the exact reason that people buy Bitcoin is an alternate asset class. It's the digital gold. And when there's a downgrade like we just saw yesterday, I think that that is very bullish for the long-term time horizon of Bitcoin. And to me, I wouldn't be surprised to see Bitcoin by the end of this year trading at north of $150,000. And here's why. Look, we just look at the global M2, so the money supply. And this chart here, if Bitcoin does follow suit, we're going to be looking at a really bullish rest of the year as money supply has gone up. We also see the money supply in China specifically absolutely printing over there. As they say, the Chinese money printer is going burr, and we still have institutions just frothing at the mouth at this point to get involved with Bitcoin. The Basel Medical Group announces plans to acquire $1 billion in Bitcoin. So first and foremost, when you're looking at news like this, buy Bitcoin. Now you might be like, well, it's expensive at 100K. At the end of the day, exposure to Bitcoin is going to be the biggest winner long term. And I'm never the type to come on here and preach about Bitcoin because, I mean, it's just very commonplace that you want to have some Bitcoin. However, if you feel like you're sidelined on Bitcoin, set a recurring buy, like 25, 50 bucks a day even. It depends on how much money you have to play with, right? But you just start DCAing 50, 100 bucks a day or a weekly, whatever the case is. Having some Bitcoin is better than none. So in these types of circumstances where we see a downgrade and we see probably a bull market playing out with the money supply doing what it's doing, if we end up having rate cuts, etc., this sets up for a very bullish rest of the year. So for me, you need that Bitcoin exposure. But let's get more into the nitty-gritty. I know we're not here just to get a 1.5x on our Bitcoin. However, that is the good long-term store of value. Let's jump into what's going on in the markets. As we talked about last week, the MapleStory in game from the MapleStory universe did go live. This is a Web3 integrated game built on an Avalanche layer 1. And there's a couple assets out there that have sold for pretty high prices. Now, this is uncommon because most people are actually saying they're not earning inside of the game. theme. So it is nice to see some of these big asset splashes inside the ecosystem. But if you are interested and you've been playing MapleStory, you can jump in for a $200,000 prize pool coming up in this next week on May 23rd. So 4 days from now, starting, I believe that's this Friday. And you can compete in this streaming contest on YouTube and Twitch and compete for your prize of potentially $200,000. We also saw some FUD this weekend on Off the Grid. Apparently, there's some unpaid prize pools and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I don't really think that that's too much to read into. I do think that that's going to be straightened out. Off the Grid and Gunzilla, they have plenty of cash to take care of that. So for me, that is really going to be a nothing long term. But for me, when you look at the asset sales too, over this weekend, we saw a prankster vest go for $2,400. We saw a zero vest go for $500. We saw a couple other assets go for around $300. Now, this all adds up to my second buy on today's list, which is Avalanche. I think Avalanche is way underpriced. And it was funny because the biggest alpha in this show that I'm going to share is actually to do with Avalanche and another altcoin. Now, in this update that we have seen today, it's starting to put the tea leaves together. So let me actually scroll to my Twitter here because I want to point something out. I had tweeted this last week. So this is going to be probably the main bulk of what is actionable from today's show. So last week I had tweeted, let's see here, regarding Avalanche. Avalanche is such a big winner in 2025. They are the home to the two biggest gaming hits of the year, which is true, Off the Grid and MapleStory. L1 activity continues to climb. DeFi is ramping up heavily on Avalanche. I'll probably cover a little more of the DeFi side as well for those who enjoy some yield. The culture around Avalanche has grown. Price will catch up sooner or later. And we actually got this little reply here from 𝗖𝗄𝗙 Trades. So we see 𝗖𝗄𝗙 with his eyes, the eye emojis. And then Jonah Blake says, 𝗖𝗄𝗙 L1 chain, understood. And he also did another eye emoji. Now, at this point, I was just kind of thinking, well, Superverse, I think they might have their own chain moving forward. I think that's very viable. But then we started to see more updates. Now, the big update here has to do with Avalanche. On top of Avalanche, if you think that that's too high of a market cap or you're looking for something that is going to give you a little more gains long term, you have Superverse sitting at $450 million market cap. This thing has fully recovered from its 40-cent level, but this thing over the last year has seen highs of over $2 back in December. So this coin has major strength whenever altcoins heat up. And let's just take a look here because over the weekend, I believe this is on Friday, we see 𝗖𝗄𝗙 tweet, "You are early." And he tweets an account here, Blackhole DEX. Now, Blackhole is looking like it's going to be the official DEX of the Superverse ecosystem. And if you put the tea leaves together, a black hole is something that consumes everything around it. And the way that Super's ecosystem is built out, to me, this screams that it's going to be some sort of a universal place to be able to trade. Now, I don't know the exact specifics of what's going to be listed here. I don't know if this is going to be just spot or leverage. It's clearly a decentralized exchange, just by the name, Blackhole DEX. But you can see how many partners they have here. Citus, IMX, Nexus, our software product, Off the Grid, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 hole, you would assume they're probably going to have a good amount of tokens, probably on the gaming side, that they want to bring a black hole to and have liquidity flowing through the 𝗕𝗵𝘆 ecosystem. And then we see something is on the horizon. And we see a black hole with an airdrop crate here. So I don't know if this means that black hole is going to have its own token. That's definitely what it seems like here. So I've gotten a lot of questions over the weekend of how do you get exposure to this? How can you get involved? There's no pre-sale. I've not seen any details on a black hole token. And I really, a lot of people are in the dark on that. No pun intended. Black hole, in the dark, whatever the case is. But my theory is this all leads back to super stakers. So over the course of the last 6 months or so, Elio has really been gung-ho pushing the fact that super stakers will be rewarded. Super stakers, they have a big catalyst coming that is going to really reward those top stakers. And then today, to put this all together, we see this imagery, a black hole, something gets sucked into the black hole. We then see the black hole logo. And then on the bottom right there, we see backed by the Avalanche Foundation. So not only are they building on Avalanche, the Avalanche Foundation is backing and putting their stamp of approval on the black hole DEX, which this makes complete sense because Elio, he is one of the top names in the crypto influencer space, also has been building Superverse for quite some time. And a lot of people have said, like, what does Super do? Well, you're about to really start to see how this ecosystem of games and partners comes together in one place, which I think Black Hole is the beginning of this mission. So how do you get exposure? It's pretty easy. I would just hop over to the Superverse website. You can click on staking here at the top, and you need a super score of 500 to qualify for Superverse staking rewards. Pretty easy to achieve. I have been staking tokens for quite some time. I actually staked some more tokens over this last weekend. So for me, I think staking Super is going to get you exposure to whatever is coming with Black Hole, which is backed by Avalanche. So for me, today, 2 of the top DCAs are going to be Super and also Avalanche. And Avalanche, it is, I talk about AVAX every single show, but it's hard to ignore what's going on their network. Everyone wants a piece of it. Beam's built on Avalanche, Off the Grid, MapleStory. There's so many different games. Pixelmon just came over. BlackRock supports Avalanche. There's way too much activity here to really be bearish on something like AVAX. I know a lot of people are like, well, Solana's where the activity is, but at the same time, AVAX is where the real building is going on. And now we see Superverse building with AVAX. Very, very bullish. So I love AVAX here at $22. And I also love Superverse at 77 cents. But more so, the actionable thing to do today, I think, is stake your Super. And I don't think, I really don't think there's really much downside to this. You get to hold a top gaming altcoin, which has a big catalyst coming up. And if it officially gets announced that stakers get rewarded, you're going to see more buy pressure, probably a little pump in the chart, and more people start to funnel in and stake. So the time that you have in the stake pool could be rewarding. So that is what I have done over the course of this weekend. So for me, AVAX and Super are the top 2 plays. But moving on down the line, I do think if we just look at top alts, 𝗬𝗍 just at this level, it is up 74% still on the 30 days. But I do think 𝗬𝗍 is long-term going to be one of the biggest altcoins in all of crypto. They have tons of institutional interest. And on top of that, if we just take a look at Cointelegraph here, there's more money coming into 𝗬𝗍. At the beginning of this year even, we didn't see that much stablecoin, about 400 million here or so in stable coins on the 𝗬𝗍 network. Now we're over $1 billion, so 100% increase in stables, activity, more liquidity going on 𝗬𝗍, which is a very bullish catalyst, which just shows the adoption of this ecosystem. So for me, AVAX, Super, and 𝗬𝗍. And then look, I think you need to be spending time in some of these upcoming token launches. And what I mean by that, if you're into NFTs, use OpenSea. Try to gain some points in XP on that platform. We see Mongrel, one of the biggest Fortnite pros that has ever really come into Fortnite, actually became their first global gaming ambassador as of today. So this is a big catalyst, and I would definitely be participating in the new OpenSea product. That way you have a chance. They're doing a retroactive airdrop, but I do think new activity is also going to factor in quite heavily. And then on top of that, get involved with Abstract. Look at upcoming TGE TGEs in the AI space. We have AI Dev Agent. This is happening on May 21st. You can turn simple prompts into real products. You can literally prompt AI Dev Agent to create full apps, games, websites. This launches at 1 mil. So there's a lot of opportunities, and this is from the team from GameSwift. So there's a lot of opportunities in the market right now to be able to profit on altcoins, because alts have taken a little bit of a hit on this volatile time period with the US economy and with Bitcoin kind of just fluctuating between 107 and 101. But I would just be looking at these different opportunities to, no liquidity really needed. You could just trade in and out and really just put some activity through these apps on Abstract and OpenSea. Very little liquidity needed. And then on top of that, just looking ahead to launches, like if this really does launch at 1 mil, I think this has potential to go to $5-10 million market cap pretty easily, given the AI narrative behind it. So we're seeing the AI narrative also, by the way, just rocket. We see over the weekend, NVIDIA and OpenAI partner with the UAE to build one of the world's biggest AI data centers. This is very bullish for AI coins. If I have to center out one AI token today, it would be Neural, which their multi-chain expansion to Solana is coming in Q2. So this is very bullish. They're going to have liquidity over on Sol as well as ETH and their 𝗵𝗏𝗔𝗟 subnet. So very bullish for the Neural AI token. And that would be my AI pick for the day. But for the most part, I am most excited about what is going on in the Superverse and AVAX ecosystems. Those would by far be my 2 top DCAs as of today. Let me know your thoughts. I would get involved with Super, start staking, and have a position into AVAX, because AVAX is absolutely thriving this cycle, and that price, I think, will catch up to the development and the backing that is going on the chain. So you guys let me know, what are you buying during this little bit of a volatile time periods in the market? Do you think that the downgrade is bullish for the markets for the rest of the year, the money supply, etc.? I would love to know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll reply to a few of your comments as well. And I will see you guys on the next one. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and as always, play well, my friends, and of course, stay bullish, my friends.